Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Happy New Year. This is going to be episode 74 of Lights Thunder Action, and we will be on right after this upcoming song. Leah and Bethanne of She Will Rock You Pod joins me to rekindle the trilogy of trilogies and dive into the Star Wars sequel trilogy with The Force Awakens after the jump. Happy New Year, fellow human nerds. It is Thursday, January 6, 2022. Welcome to episode 74 of Lights Thunder Action, where every week two Thunder Buddies discuss all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. I'm Thomas Carter Rochester, and tonight, technically, Leah and Bethanne of She Will Rock You Pod will be on in just a moment. As I said, we're going to rekindle the trilogy of trilogies as we dive into The Force Awakens. But first, we are live beaming directly into your homes and phones via our LightsThunderAction Facebook and HWWS WebTV channel on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All of those links can be found at Linktree.com/LightsThunderAction. All one word, no hyphens, no spaces. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to view the live version of our show where you can interact with us. But if you prefer to listen to our beautiful voices and not look at our bearded face, then you can find our audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, and our hosting site, Spreaker. There's an R in there. Sorry, I slurred that from the South like I am. If you want to keep up to our audio feed, just follow and subscribe on those platforms. And while you're at it, just leave us a 5-star review. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave some comments. If you have questions, we'll answer them. Your support truly does mean the world to us. And I thank you for David and myself. He's off being Coach David Thompson, master of sticky fingers. But now, the millennials of rock history themselves, co-hosts of She Will Rock You podcast, Leah Jones and Bethanne Tarpley.
I love that we made the same face when we popped on screen.
We always do, Leah. We have been friends for so long that it's just we are synonymous in our whenever people call to us.
This is true.
We pick up our
just
mannerisms.
Born like that.
That's true.
Mannerisms. Yes. How are y'all? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday in the year of our Thor 2022.
Of course. Welcome back to you both. Leah, it's been 7 months, and Bethanne, it's been 7 days.
3 times
so. We're going 5 straight
Has it
weeks
really
here.
been 7 months? That doesn't feel like that was that long ago.
Loki
Since that
was
first
in
one?
July. Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Since Loki, we've gotten 6 more MCU things?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy.
Hawkeye, Shang-Chi, 4, Spider-Man. I forgot. Spider-Man. So that's 5, and I feel like I'm still missing something between What If.
Well, I mean, for Spider-Man, you technically could count it as 3 movies, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
That's all
it's weird. Say. It's like we've not spoiled the whole thing on our previous 2 episodes that were not live. If you're joining us live, you can actually go back into the audio feed where there are 2 audio exclusives for the Spider-Man No Way Home Roundtable discussion, parts 1 and 2. You get about 3 hours of us talking Spider-Man, and we still almost got through all of the things in the movie.
Yes.
Leah, you weren't here. You finally seen Spider-Man.
Yes.
Thoughts?
I was late to the party. It was so good. I saw it on Christmas Eve, and I cried a lot.
Right. Did you cry for an hour straight?
Not an hour straight, but more than I expected to.
That's yeah. I did cry for an hour straight. It was very painful to my eyeballs.
That's not fun when you cry that long.
I watched it again on New Year's Day. I took my nephews, and just listening to them laugh at the points in the script where you're supposed to laugh, and not the other points that I laugh at, was really endearing. I was like, wow, they're really following this script. They're into this.
We want to see more things go boom. At least that's how it is for my nieces.
Literally, it gets to
listen
a point,
to the double entendre. They said nothing over that.
Over that, they looked at me at a certain point and they're like, he's crying again. And
They'll get there eventually.
That's what I was like. What do you guys think of the movie? Like, it was cool. And I was like, it was cool? Are you kidding me? There is Spider-Man on the same. Kids don't even understand how privileged you are to be alive right now.
They don't know how good they
are.
Were
just in my day, we fought. Yeah. We fought for these characters to come to light.
In my day, it was just cartoon.
We fan casted it and we predicted it. And we built blogs off of it, and you're just feeding off of it.
Sucking it in. The futurist of the children. But that's not the only thing that's come out. We were just talking before we hopped on, and there's some hot takes here from Bethanne. We were talking about the Book of Boba Fett and how good chapter 2 was. Really quick, want to say shout out to Terry McIver in the comments. He's still awake in Ireland.
Damn.
Respect. I would totally be asleep if I were you, Big T. But Book of Boba Fett, Bethanne is convinced that between Mando and Book of Boba Fett, what was it, Bethanne?
Well, first, let me just say, I'm so glad we're going live so I can get my very hot takes of Star Wars get roasted in the comments in real time. But I'm ready to defend myself, okay? So I believe that the books and the TV should be the moving forward mediums of the Star Wars franchise. And with that said, I don't think there's a need for movies anymore because we have answered the questions. The galaxies have been saved. We identified that there are no moons. Like, we have moved on. Okay, we've crossed the celestial planes, and now we get an opportunity in TV to do three things. And those three things are: one, be a kick-ass space western the way it was made, but not from building a galaxy.
I'm just waiting for you to finish.
Okay. I feel like Patton Oswalt in the scene where he's doing a filibuster for Star Wars.
That's what you're doing.
That's literally how I feel.
Keep going. It's going to become canon soon.
Yeah,
Okay,
eventually
cool,
you'll get something they'll make.
Good. I'll start making some predictions. One, it allows it to be the space western that it is, but to explore it in more depth, more dialogue based, more story heavy area where you get to actually explore the characters. You get to explore the terrain more. Number two, you get to learn more about the types of, aliens and shit. That's kind of exciting. Like, I knew sand people, but now I really know sand people, okay? The Tuscany tribe, whatever you want to call them. And then number three,
you still keep saying their name wrong. You don't know them.
What is it? The
Tuscan Raiders.
Tuscan tribe. They said tribe in episode 2, okay?
Tuscan Raiders.
They called themselves a tribe.
Because they are a tribe. There's multiple tribes of Tuscan Raiders.
Okay.
They are just a small tribe within the...
And how did you come to that knowledge? How did you come? Did you come to that knowledge through books?
No.
Just life.
They said it.
Yeah.
Where?
No,
What
actually,
did
they say it in the movie. They say it in A New Hope.
Yeah.
You just muted yourself.
You muted yourself. I gotta stand with my Tuscan brethren really fast and just say,
insert donkey noise here. But then number three, and I think this is the most important part. And I think as Star Wars fans, you have to answer this question. Remember, I like Star Wars, but I don't identify as closely to that fan zone other than from a movie perspective. Okay. Have they explored enough that, or let me rephrase this, for the movies, have they answered enough questions? In TV, can they explore a lot more in more hours and get more fulfillment out of it? That is my rant.
Okay. All of that is valid, but movies are the entry point for a lot of fans. You can't just throw someone in a Book of Boba Fett and expect them to know what the hell's happening.
We did it with Game of Thrones.
No one knew what was happening.
I don't even fully know what's happening. I just have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, we got ideas. But like, if you just threw someone in first-time Star Wars fan into Book of Boba Fett, they're going to go, who the fuck is Boba Fett?
Well, true.
That's not wrong.
But also, that's why I was saying, the movies are complete. You can go back and watch the movies. Okay? Hold on, let me switch over my mic because
your mic has changed.
We have a quick comment. Terry McIver says he wants to know, where's everyone picking up these Wookiees from? If you're talking about Black Chrysanthemum,
badass Wookiee.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If you're talking about Black Chrysanthemum, he actually had to evacuate Kashyyyk because he did something that, what was the word? Made the entire planet ashamed of him, essentially. And so he went and fought in gladiator pits, which is what Boba references. And he started in the Dr. Aphra comics, and he's a big, he's a very big deal in the comics. He's been hired by Darth Vader. He worked regularly for Jabba the Hutt, and he's a cool Wookiee.
I thought
he was a cool Wookiee.
That's why
I want him. Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Black Chrysanthemum, also nicknamed Santy, for obvious reasons.
Very nice. But yeah, so that's my hot take on it. Take it as you will, because I actually want to be more in the world, and you can have that entry point. There, guess what? There's a prequel, there's a mainquel, and there's a sequel. I don't know why you bring me on here, Thomas. I have like the worst theory.
I'm not gonna lie. You do everything you're saying. I actually not everything, because I will never say get rid of Star Wars movies. Give me more Star Wars movies while you're giving me TV shows and comics and books and games and everything.
Just inject it
else.
into my brain.
Right here, right here. Maybe just the veins, because that's where I feel it more than my brain. My brain is like, oh yeah, cool. Oh yeah, cool. And then in my veins, it's just like pure adrenaline. It's just, but we are here to talk about Star Wars: The Force Awakens. There has been an awakening. Can you feel it? How about I want to start this off with where we always start off, reckless rebellion, excuse me, because we're talking Star Wars here. I got to know. We'll go clockwise on the screen here. Leah, start with you. Go to Bethanne. What is your Star Wars origin story?
My Nana had the original box set of the 3 VHSs for the original trilogy, and I remember watching them. I think I was like in 8th grade, because this was before you could stream them and before you could even easily buy a box set of all 6. So I'd only seen the original 3 until college when I watched the prequels, and at first I was like, that was a thing, but now I love the prequels. And then sometime in college, I don't really know what it was, but I was just like, yeah, Star Wars. And it was right around the time that they started hyping up this new trilogy. And, it's gotten to the point where I now have a tiny rebel tattoo. So pretty dedicated.
Bethanne.
So I remember watching the main movies on VHS with my brother and dad. But I think the first memory that comes to mind is I remember, this is going to be the weirdest story, but you should know me by now. I bring the weirdest shit. I can't help it.
And that's why we love you.
That's what I'm here for. You take what you need. But I remember the prequels were out. The first episode was out. And I fell asleep on the couch and my mom woke me up and she goes, "Hey, we're going to go see Phantom Menace." And I was like, why are we going to go see a movie at 8 a.m.? Like, I was so convinced it was 8 a.m. And my mom's like, "No, it's 6 p.m. I'm like, "You're lying to me." Like, I would not believe her because I was so certain it was like 8 a.m. And we go through the movie. I remember hanging out with my brother and I came out and it was pitch dark. And I'm like, "Why is it dark?" She's like, "I told you it was 6 p.m.
That's hilarious.
So that's my main memory of the origin story of
nothing to do with Star Wars, just it being dark.
No,
that's
she went in thinking it was morning and she comes out and the stars are out for her. That's
is
Star
this
Wars.
Not just an analogy for the dark side? You go in thinking it's the light and it's actually the dark. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Good. As I have a Sith tattoo next to my heart.
There you go. That's a good villain.
Interesting placement.
Story.
Villain origin.
But I honestly, my love for Star Wars and just that whole franchise, like I said, I haven't really read the books. I haven't watched, Clone Wars, but I love the movies and I love the TV. I love the TV shows they've put out. And it really started when Force Awakens got ready to come out. And first when Disney bought the franchise and Darth Vader was wearing a Mickey Mouse hat, I was sold at that point. But then
naturally,
when the sequels came out, that's when I really started just loving it.
Okay. I love the Star Wars since I was 7 and I watched the theatrical cut on VHS because that's all Blockbuster had at the time. Yes. Shout out Blockbuster.
Pre CGI or post
R.I.P.
CGI?
Pre CGI. It was. I'm pretty sure it was the theatrical cut, like the theatrical cut. I could be wrong. It might have been the 97 version, but I don't think that had come out yet. Or the 97 special editions came out, right?
I had
I think
never
so.
seen the CGI until Disney Plus. I didn't know that was a thing.
Really?
So that wasn't on my set. We had the original cuts on the VHSs, and then I have a box set that I ordered from China off eBay that has the original cuts. And so I'm watching on Disney Plus, and I'm like, what is a CGI job? Why is he here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad. I actually feel
really
very
bad.
bad for Star Wars fans that they had to go through that.
It's
like
really bad.
going with the movie they love, and George Lucas is pretty much like, I got rid of the original. Like it's a stake to the heart for sure.
Yeah.
To fandom.
If I could cut out Cy Snoodles, I'd be so happy. You know? And the worst part is it's not even her, it's the other guy that I hate. You know, the wicked jiggy wah wah jiggy
yes,
wah.
I hate that noise. I hate that noise so much.
He just felt the need to put random like CGI animals and shit in the background. Like that made no sense to the story whatsoever. Like he embraced what made Star Wars, the original ones, perfect was the practical effects, was what they could achieve. Like that's what I love about cinema, is what could they do outside of what we have today, outside of computers. Well, I still like that stuff. I just thought that was so neat what they could pull off. And, you know, he kind of unfortunately tainted it a little bit.
Soiled it.
He of course. So now let's go from that really fun Star Wars origin journey. We're going to dive into the trilogy of trilogies.
When stories are told brilliantly, opinions are viewed differently. We bring them all together when you get this great soliloquy. When Trinity leaves affinity, our co-host eyes left mysteriously. We present you with another round of the Trilogy of Trilogies.
Yeah. The year is 2015, and everybody's at a different point because that's like fucking almost 7 years ago now, by the way. I know. That's what I said then when I was like, oh God, 7 years ago. But now we're going to dive into the part that everyone's caring about 2 minutes. What do you got? What was life like for you in 2015 leading into The Force Awakens? Bethanne.
Okay. You go first.
I mean, you know, it was dark, unbridled with light. No, it was, you know, when that trailer dropped, like we were opening with, there's been an awakening, can you feel it? And then seeing Finn pop up was the most exciting thing I had seen in cinema in a long time. Like, so you know, Force Awakens actually seeing it, like seeing the trailer footage, like it was so exciting to see the direction it was going.
What about you, Leah?
I don't think I've ever been more excited for a movie release in my life, because I never thought that I was going to see a Star Wars movie in theaters, because there were 6 and they were only ever going to be 6. And then Disney was like, surprise. I got to this is back when our theater still like could not handle releases. I think we had 8 p.m. tickets. I got in line at 3 and I was still like halfway back in line before you could reserve seats. I had to wait outside in December and it was freezing. But I remember the opening, burm, 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 burm. I just started crying because I was like, it's happening. I'm seeing a Star Wars crawl like in the theater. I was so excited.
Yeah. I took a half day because we went to the same theater, even though I don't think we knew each other.
We wouldn't have known each other at the time.
No. I took a half day to wait in line.
It was a shit show there.
Yeah. And literally, it was like a really big wing of that mall packed with people. You couldn't get through even if you wanted to. And then it was going around the building outside in the cold. Like I had never been to a premiere like that before in my life. And just the energy that was there. Civil War was pretty big too.
But that was after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was more chaotic. Our theater
Everyone
sucks.
was just so excited. And that was such an like electric experience leading up to it that I just miss, and I wish the pandemic never squashed, was that human connection of just meeting people in the crowd. You just randomly are playing, the heads up game with them, and just like getting excited and discussing fan theories. Like it was such a magical moment waiting in
That
line.
and Disney pushed it so hard. Like I remember I bought grapes at the store that were Star Wars branded. Like there was no reason
my
for
God.
that, but I had to have them. So Target did like a makeup line. Like
I
there
remember
was
that.
so much merchandise for this movie. I still have my Star Wars lipsticks from that collection.
Unused.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way a collector should do it. For me, life in 2015, I wrote here in the notes, and now I'm just laughing because I'm like, it's not as bad as I make it out to be. Hammered and in a deep depression. Then Star Wars, the trailer, the film, the score, the tears, the tattoo, the commitment. I don't know what the heck I was doing. I think I wrote that at 5 a.m. when I woke up.
I just hear the fanfare breaking out the darkness.
Star Wars. You guys have mentioned it all. I did not ever think I was going to see another Star Wars film in theaters. Like I remember going to see Phantom Menace in theaters, and I'm pretty sure that we went and saw Jurassic Park, The Lost World, like a couple years before, and saw the poster. And that's when my dad was like, oh my God, they're coming out with a new Star Wars. You have to watch Star Wars. And he was obviously not that excited because he's like, you got to watch this Star Wars, son. And I'm like, okay. I'm the one who's like, oh my God, you got to watch Star Wars. So going into Force Awakens, I loved the trailer, the first one. I don't remember if I saw any other trailers. I remember the first one and leaving it at that. But again, I was hammered a lot, so I could have watched all the trailers and just forgot. Very strong possibility. 2015 Thomas was very chaotic. And, went in and saw the movie, and it just blew me away. Like, it literally led to me getting that Sith tattoo because I wanted a Star Wars tattoo. And I just put it on the left side because I had a tattoo on my right arm, so I wanted some balance. And then, that ended up leading me to just being like, Star Wars is what like got me into wanting to be a filmmaker. Why don't I just do that instead of being an engineer? And my dad is very upset about it, but I'm not. So that's how we've gotten here. We'll dive into this. Normally I break down the plot, but I'll just leave it here, ladies and gentlemen. You get some very fun new stuff, and then all of a sudden it's just the Star Wars plot. The first act is basically reversed and broken up and switched around in some ways. Basically, the first good guy you meet still gets taken prisoner by the main villain. And then it's the fin of it all that really throws a wrench into everything, right? That's a real original character, which we will get to when they ruin him later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like the trailer, you're like, oh yeah, Finn is gonna be the dude. He's gonna be that person. And then he's relegated to literally never. We're not at Rise of Skywalker. We're not at Rise of Skywalker. We'll get there. We're here in the Force Awakens where time is still happy.
Life's still
Things
good.
are going well. Nobody's lost their minds because they think that somebody ruined Star Wars again. I'm looking at you people who are my age and thought that the sequel trilogy ruined Star Wars. You remember the prequels?
Yeah.
I remember that BS. I remember getting hated on because I liked Jar Jar Binks. Now I want to stab Jar Jar Binks, but that's just because he annoys me now. He reminds me of children.
Yeah, he was definitely
very
a character created for children.
Yeah, and as a kid, I'm like, yeah, he's hilarious. And then at 13, I rewatched and I was like, oh wow, I do understand the criticism. They don't have to be that harsh, though.
Did you always sound this annoying, Jar Jar? It's kind of like
when I really want to piss someone off, I'll just say, "Misa no understand."
That's enough to get the blood boiling.
Oh yeah. I do it. It's going to stay chaotic, but normally I have the whole plot broken down. I'm not really doing that for this one because I'm here for Last Jedi. I'm here for Last Jedi, ladies and gentlemen. I'll put my stamp on it. I don't think rewatching these movies. I've rewatched it, but I was busy doing work, so I'm gonna have to rewatch it again before I watch Last Jedi going in. But it's a 1-2 punch like Infinity War and Endgame, so I have zero qualms with doing that. I'm here for Last Jedi because I think that is some next level Star Wars that we are getting right now on television. And if you want to fight me on it, I will just point to all the fan theories we had about how he gets out of the Sarlacc pit, and we thought it'd be this great escape. He literally just flamethrowers it from the inside. Right?
Simple.
All he needed.
That's all needed to do.
Simple. Keep it simple. Fucking guys. But has this movie, how you felt about it when you first saw Force Awakens, has it changed since then?
No. I think me and Leah were talking with my husband Josh at the gym about this. I think the fan perspective has shifted on it, honestly, which is kind of weird because of how excited we were. But my opinion on the film has not changed. When I went to go see it this week, and mind you, like, it's been a while since I've seen it, I still enjoyed every bit of it when I went to go see it in theater 4 times. It still held up. A 5? Ooh.
I said 5.
I literally
had disposable income.
I was like, I went and see it, and then I had to go see it again, and then I grabbed my brother to see it, and then I grabbed another friend to go see it. I saw it 4 times opening weekend. I just could not get enough of it.
That is most impressive.
Yes.
Leah, what about you?
Yes, and I hate that it has. But looking at the sequel trilogy as a whole, and J.J. Abrams' storytelling and how he wrapped up the trilogy, it has changed my feelings about it. I still love it and I still enjoy it, but and I'll probably say this at other points in this discussion, I'm still waiting for that piece of content like the Clone Wars to come along for the sequel trilogy and like make us fall in love with it. Not retconning it, not like changing anything. It just needs to be expanded a little bit. And they're starting to do that in the books a little bit, but it's nowhere near the level that the prequels have gotten with Clone Wars and all of the amazing books that surround that era. Give it another 10 years, and I think we'll have some answers to some questions that we've been waiting for. But right now, there's a lot of holes.
Yeah, I just threw Rise of Skywalker out of my mind. I just kind of accept it as 2 movies.
I've learned to be critical about things that I like, and we'll talk about it.
I can be very aggressive and very harsh because I love something so much. Hence why there's a hate symbol of the Sith next to my heart. You know what I'm saying? It's love and hate are just 2 sides of a coin. It's only 5 millimeters of a difference. So I really think that it's The Last Jedi that changed my feelings on The Force Awakens, because I saw Force Awakens, like I said, or like I hinted, 5 times in theaters. And because I love Star Wars. I was all in. I went home, watched all Clone Wars, went back to see if any of it tied together. It didn't yet. And so I could not figure out what they were about to do. And I loved the idea that we were about to get a whole trilogy from 3 different directors. And I look at The Last Jedi as being the peak of that trilogy in every way. Sure, Canto Bite sequence in the long scheme of the movie, in the enjoyment of the movie, doesn't really make sense, but neither does the Stockholm Syndrome of Anakin and Padme in episode 2.
It does, and I'll tell you why next week.
Ooh. Well, I say in the enjoyment of the movie, the fact that they fail never happens. So we got to see that failure and what happens with failure. And that's why I stand by it. That's my really. Oh, I can't wait for next week. That's my
next
point.
Week.
You've heard it. This whole podcast is just my point. So we don't need to hear those anymore. So let's start off in like the first, Poe starts out on whatever planet we're on, and he's talking to Max von Sydow, and
who's a Santeca from the High Republic.
God, yes, he is a Santeca.
Yes,
I just heard that today.
Yeah. You guys
has no idea what we're talking about.
Like I I have said this before. I am a movie goer. I
Okay.
love movies. I love scripts, and that's where my fandom lies.
For
But
those who don't know,
As far as for the characters, I know main characters and I know side characters, and then it kind of just falls from there.
for those who don't know, in the High Republic era, the Santeca clan, it's a family group that is responsible for mapping hyperspace. So they were map creators of the entire galaxy. So the fact that he has this little map piece as a
Oh my God.
Santeca is crazy.
I love that so. I didn't know his name was Santeca.
I saw
think
it somewhere very recently, like when I think it was the Lorna D book came out. I don't know. It was like that time that people made connections.
Okay. Tempest Runner. That was so good.
That one.
They made me really like her. God dang it.
I know. I didn't want to
Why
like
you gotta
her.
make me like bad villains, man? Like they're just gonna kill her later on in
They
a
are.
tragic way that's gonna gut me like they did to Ventress.
Yes.
Dicks. Dicks. So we start out doing that. We get the map. We have some, hey, bang, bang, boom. We get some real Jeff Goldblum energy here from Poe and Oscar Isaac, which I just love. I think so much. Like, he is the only person, and you really do see the difference in his performance over the next two films in terms of like what he's given to do. And you can see the glimmer in his eye is just gone. It's like, oh, I did Apocalypse, and it's all downhill from there.
As my friends and I called him when this movie came out, Poe Dameron.
Subtle. So we meet Poe. He's awesome. He was supposed to die. They decided he's so great, we'll keep him around just to relegate him to the back seat. They fly now.
But we can ship him with Finn. It's fine.
It's very true. We can ship everyone with Finn. Honestly, that's the whole. He's the ship.
Yes,
he is the ship.
Finn ship. We meet,
which is
Kylo,
just like. Sorry, they took him as a stormtrooper, and they broke the stormtrooper mask off of him, and they said, "You're gonna have personality. You're not a clone." And then
they gave him no personality.
And then they gave him no personality. Why?
He's like unconscious for half of the next movie.
Why?
Not half the next movie.
I know, it feels like half. It feels like half.
It's like it's mid first act he gets out.
It was so long. I was like, oh, I forgot that he was here.
15 minutes. It was 15 minutes.
I forget about Finn all the time, and I feel bad about it, but that's not my fault.
Yeah, you know whose fault that is?
J.J. Abrams.
It's J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Sorry, J.J. We love you, but you like questions and not answers, and we need
That's
some
very
answers.
true.
My question, J.J., why don't you love Finn? Why don't you love Finn like I love Finn?
What did he do to you?
I'm kidding. I don't.
It's about the box. It's not about what's in the box. Bullshit.
Why did they choose the
Schrodinger's
director
box.
of Lost for this? Let's be honest. That's the real question.
See,
Yeah.
for The Force Awakens, it's perfect. He sets up a great sequence of stuff, and Ryan Johnson
cannot
takes
finish it.
Ryan Johnson takes that and builds on it, and then is like, by the way, here's all these crazy things, and it's set up, and everyone is all, this isn't Star Wars. Why are you deconstructing everything? Because we're already in The Last Jedi. This has already become a Last Jedi stand.
We're
That's
gonna
next
just
week.
be
That's
like,
next week.
so anyway, The Force Awakens. You know what I fucking couldn't? You know, grinding my gear about Last Jedi, like about J.J. Abrams.
Save it.
Let's try and bring it back. Let's stay on topic of The Force Awakens. Kylo Ren.
Finn.
Let's go characters. Let's go characters first.
My
We
boy.
meet Kylo first. Let's talk about good old Ben Solo and his arc throughout the movie. I think if we focus on the characters, we'll be okay.
Okay.
Essentially, because I feel like we can't go too long then, because then it all interweaves together. Because really, I look at it as new characters, OG characters, and I forget that they cross over. Like they have interactions with each other. I'm like, oh, that's right. She met Han Solo. I forgot about that because it just
There's so much else happening.
It's two whole things. I really do feel set up for all the new characters feels like all the Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they bring in the original trilogy characters in this film, it's instantaneously, oh, now it's just the Star Wars plot. Like, now we've got Han and Chewie. Let's go to a cantina. Oh, let's have a fight. Oh, we're taking another prisoner.
Yeah.
And look, we don't have a Death Star. I will say, I didn't know how I felt about Starkiller Base until I found out that it's Elam.
It's Ilium?
It's Elam. They
The
took
entire
the Kyber
planet?
Crystal planet and turned it into a fucking bomb.
I knew they raided it, but I didn't know that the entire base was the planet.
I believe something recently in one of the comics hinted at that.
Yes.
Luke Skywalker in the recent Star Wars 17, 18, or 19 went to
It's Ilum. It is Ilum.
Jakku, maybe? Went to one place and then went to Ilum. And on Ilum, you can see the start of the hollowing out of the laser
Interesting.
cannon. So Starkiller Base is Ilum, and that makes me like it a lot more.
That is cooler
That's
than
kinda
just
cool.
a big floating
But now
laser.
how are we supposed to make lightsabers?
We can't.
That's what makes the Christmas holiday Lego special canon, because that's how they found kyber crystals.
I love when
I
they
love
do
that.
things like that.
The
It's
Christmas
canon
special
to me, damn it.
was great. The Halloween special, But
That's fun.
that's a topic for another time.
We got to play in all three timelines. I like that. I
Yeah.
love time. Time is my favorite narrative. I want a Star Wars time film, and I'm looking at you, Ezra Bridger. Okay,
The world beyond worlds, world between worlds.
World Between Worlds, Star Wars, World Between Worlds. That is what we should name this episode, because we're not
Coming to
doing
Disney
anything
Plus.
good at Kylo Ren talk. Kylo Ren. You wear a mask and call yourself Kylo Ren.
A+ no compression.
Oh, I felt it was very terrible. So Kylo Ren, the boy, how do we feel about Kylo? You know, he's got a great journey in this film. He's angry, angsty, emo, kills his dad. It's very simple.
Yeah,
But
he's
it's
not-
good.
There's not a lot of layers.
But I like that about him. I
But he
love a
took his
good,
helmet off.
but I like a good angsty teen. First off, I'm sorry. I wanted to see his beautiful mane, okay? That's my fan service moment. But number two, I just really enjoy Adam Driver in that role in the first film. And I'm going to try very hard not to talk about the rest of the film. So I'm going to stay on track for Force Awakens. I really enjoy his character throughout. I know with Ben Sol, like I knew that he was going to be part of a training camp and things like that going into it. So I liked that reveal of it when I first saw it. But yeah, is it simple? Yeah. But is it effective? I think it really is. It's especially comes effective when you see Rey and Kylo Ren's, chemistry, so to speak.
Leah.
This is the point where I reveal my Tumblr handle.
Yes.
It was
Okay.
Kylo Ren, which
Kai
is embarrassing.
Leah Ren.
So yes, I'm a Kylo
That's
Ren stan.
glorious.
There was one Christmas where
It was
me
right
and
after The
Leah-
Last Jedi. Like,
Was it
the week
after Last-
Yeah, it was right after. It was after the throne room scene.
Me and Leah had like nothing to do at work. So me and her were just side by side at work on Tumblr, just looking at Raylo
On Raylo
trash.
Tumblr.
Raylo trash, just heaps of
You
it.
know-
Give me that hot garbage. Let's go. Like-
Garbage. Hit me with that hot garbage.
Hit me with that hot Raylo garbage.
Okay, so
But,
since we've
yeah.
talked about we've talked about one half of Raylo, let's talk about Rey. And here's, we there's no way we're not going to be able to talk about the Palpatine of it all. Is she engineered? Is
No.
all I have written, and I don't know why. It was one
Probably
of those
because of the
shower
Snokes
thoughts.
in a jar in
Snokes in
Mandalorian.
a jar and the Mandalorian. Yes. No, she really is just. She can do everything. She can speak all the languages. She can speak binary with the droids, and beeps and boops and snoots and stuff like that. But then as she goes along, and she gets so strong with the Force, it's like, what the heck? Why is it happening? What is going on here? And then when you think about her lineage and the Grogu and the M count, it's like maybe she literally is only doing this because her M count was so high and it just needed a specific time to snoop in, or should I say snoke in, and just activate.
Or because they're a dyad, the Force was like, all right, time to shine, and just like made her have the ability to do what she needed to do.
Yeah. Because she didn't have a mentor. She had no one teaching her.
She has no friends.
Yeah, she doesn't have a friend. Ball is her friend. That's it.
Oh, that's why she's such a good Jedi. No attachments.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Oh,
wow.
That's a good point.
That is depressing.
We solved it, guys. We connected.
There you go, JJ. Solved your problems.
We found what was in the box.
Connected the dots.
It was a dead cat. It was unfortunate. Schrodinger's cat died because they decided to open the box 35 years later.
That would be a problem.
Bethanne's eyes is like, what the fuck?
I'm tracking. I'm here for moral support as you guys identify things, because I didn't read the books or watch Clone Wars, so I'm here.
You haven't watched Clone Wars?
I
started watching it and I started falling
That's right, you did say that.
9 p.m.
Wow.
But that's on me.
If we had David Thompson here, it would be so balanced because he's not watched all of Clone Wars. And on top of that, he's a huge fucking... I'm outnumbered in the Reylo stuff. I don't really care about the Reylo shipping stuff. I'm like, okay, they kissed. Cool. They have great chemistry. Great. They don't have to date. We don't need the romance in this situation. And then she gives him a kiss of thanks. And then he dead. We're not at Rise of Skywalker, JJ. Let's go back. There's no way to talk about the sequel trilogy without getting so far ahead because we get so angry.
I mean, the thing is, I'm going to be honest with you, after watching Boba Fett today, before I started talking about, my stupid ass theories, I was actually thinking like, man, I got to go watch Clone Wars and Bad Batch, because there's something about the movies that have been coming out, not movies, the TV shows. It just fills this void in me, like this fantasy void that I think everyone has. And I haven't had filled since Game of Thrones and Witcher. And I just finished Witcher 2 weeks ago. So that void is very readily empty.
There are 7 seasons of Clone Wars. And I assure you, if you make it through the first, you will be okay. The animation hurts in season 1. But it's also 2008.
Yeah.
So what do you expect?
And they had a budget of like nothing because it's on Cartoon Network at the time.
It was on at like 7 p.m. on Cartoon Network. And within 2 years, it was their prime time go out before Adult Swim show on Saturday nights.
That's a high honor.
It is. It was like the end of Toonami before the end of Toonami, and they restarted it and revamped it on Adult Swim. So it was a very, very high honor, and not the green kind of high honor, just the regular kind of high honor. But Rey is here. She's got the Luke Skywalker journey in this story. I don't really know how to describe it any other way. I will say Daisy Ridley, a goat. This movie instantly made me love her. I'm like, I know why they cast her, because she sucks you in and she's got so much heart, and you can tell that when Rey's having fun, it's because Daisy's having fun.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the Millennium Falcon. The one that
you're Han Solo.
12 and 14 parsecs. 12. Wow. It's like
the war hero? No, the smuggler. It's my favorite line of Rey.
Yeah, the smuggler. Oh, I always wanted a daddy. Well, don't look at him, because he's about to die.
He did.
He did that. Sad roars. Who's your favorite character of this movie? Let's just talk about them, because I'm struggling.
BB-8. Damn, okay. Take my answer, why don't you?
He's a puppy. He's the puppy in the form of a droid.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah.
Didn't Bill Hader voice BB-8?
Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz.
That's what it was. Ben
Yes.
Schwartz.
Both of them together.
Which is,
yeah.
there was a trend at the time where they took like, out of context quotes from shows on Tumblr and then put them like over other fandoms, and they had a Ben Schwartz scene from Parks and Rec over BB-8. It was like, I'm gonna crash on your couch. We're roommates.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Parks and Rec is a fantastic. We should have you guys come back out. We'll just do a Parks and Rec.
There's my
Parks and Rec.
fandom. That's my fandom.
Okay. Well, guess what, Bethanne? I tried to make ramen in the coffee pot and I broke everything. So.
There you go. I was checking your computer and I was looking up your symptoms. Looks like you have connectivity issues.
I booked all of your appointments for or March 31st because I didn't think that was a real day. It's today.
I forgot about that one.
It's my every March 31st. I think about it.
God, what a show. I love that show so much. Back to Star Wars. Patton Oswalt is in that show, and he predicted the Boba Fett, the rise of Sarlacc pit. Let's talk about Finn. Let's talk about our boy Finn. I think this is where it just turns into Finn love. What's your favorite thing about Finn?
I think Finn is just trying to make it. Okay, he broke out.
Wants to survive.
He just wants to survive. He broke out of the regiment of stormtroopers, and he wants to make a name for himself. And so I actually like Finn's story arc as far as for like starting off, saying he's part of the resistance because he wants to feel something different, and he met a really fun person, and he's never had friends. And I love that it just transitioned into this really like I think that whole story arc with Finn, you really get to see his heart and who he is as a person, and actually see emotions he's never actually been allowed to explore because he's only had a number. Like, I've never had a number. It's always been FN 217, whatever. And Poe's like, well, I'm going to call you Finn. It's really cool to see like that whole, I didn't know anybody and now I have friends and I get to explore this world.
Leah.
We don't see a lot of defecting stormtroopers in all of Star Wars canon. There's very few, and even fewer where the Resistance fully accepts them without, thinking they're traitors or spies. And they were very accepting of Finn, like straight off the bat, which is very weird to me. But I guess,
well, he lied.
Pickings are slim, but
he
still,
did lie his way there.
They still didn't do like some of the security they should have done to investigate him, but that he wasn't a threat. So we'll let
then
it
again,
slide.
Poe Dameron probably vouched for him as well. I mean,
he's like, yeah, I met this guy like 10 minutes ago. He's fine.
Yeah, it's like he's
totally
a
not a
stormtrooper. He
spy.
broke me out. He broke me out and got me out. And honestly, he's just trying to run away.
But he could have still been a spy. It could have all been a ruse.
It's true.
Oh, it's very true. You think they're going to think about that in the Resistance?
No.
They don't have time
There's
for
like
that.
7
J.J.
people there.
Abrams is writing. They got to worry about aliens coming in. Have you
There's
seen
like 7 people in the
Cloverfield?
Resistance.
J.J. Abrams got bigger fish to fry than
But
going
I
through
love-
intricacies.
I
you mean
love
the
the
one-
defecting. Sorry, my internet's lagging. You guys will like freeze and then speed up all at the same time. So, I was
You
saying
love
I
a
love a
defecting
defecting stormtrooper. Like, the Inferno Squad book is like one of my favorite Star Wars books because it's the other side of the war type book. So good. Highly recommend.
It's the Miggs Mayfield approach.
Yeah, it's the that specific book is the prequel to Battlefront 2 and that story arc. I had to think about which Battlefront 2.
They
Yeah, I
have a
didn't know I
book
needed
that
a
ties
prequel.
into the game.
Yes, it is so good.
Oh my! Wrong fandom. Snoke him if you got him. Snoke.
Take it,
He's
Sheedy.
I know. It's so hard not to just randomly break into Return of the Pod stuff. when it comes to Snoke, I felt like this was such a great setup, and I enjoyed the fact that they didn't pull, like, they're like, oh, by the way, Kylo Ren's not the top of the list, is already the Supreme Leader. And it's like, okay, cool. The Supreme Leader, Snoke, is here. What happened to his face? Why is he so pale? Why is he so tall? Why is his head so big? And is his fingers really long? Is he really small, like a little 1-inch man who's just blown up into a hologram? That rhymed. Or is he just normal people size and has like size issues, if you know what I'm saying? So he projects himself to be big and scary.
I
Those
think
are
it's
all
the latter.
Those are all my Snoke
We'll never
questions.
know.
We still don't know the answer to any of those things.
I think he is normal size-ish.
In the throne
Based
room,
on
he's normal
last-
size.
He's normal size-ish. He might be a little extra tall.
But we don't know
There-
how he got to be the way he is yet. I think
Well-
Mandalorian's going to answer this.
Mandalorian season
yeah.
9 will dive into that.
I can't wait.
In 2027. See y'all
Because it's
then.
the proper medium. I'm just saying.
2028.
Oh, yeah. We
Wait,
kind of skipped we skipped not having a
Yeah.
season this year.
we skipped not having a
Ah,
season.
that's true.
Thanks, COVID.
Damn them. I mean, technically, we almost didn't even have any live action Star Wars in 2021.
That's true.
It would have
got-
been very sad.
We got the filler. We got the filler episode of the Boba Fett series. I'm just saying. I think episode 1's the filler. I
It
think
is. I
everything
wish-
else is plot.
That's
I
what's
wish they had dropped
insane
1
about-
and 2 at the same time.
Yeah. I agree with that. Because like episode 1 was still very intriguing. And obviously I was still in. But episode 2, man, they just went zoom. Like they just said, all right, let's let what's his name? Boba Fett's the actor.
Timur Morrison.
Timur Morrison.
Yeah. They're just like, all right, let him do his thing. I don't want to get too much into it, but dude, it's so good. Everything about it is so good.
I agree. I've been trying so hard not to just quote it and do his voice this whole show, but I don't know
I
if
love
I can
his
do
accent.
it for much longer. My name this is my father, Jango Fett.
Nasty
me.
little bugger in it.
Boba Fett.
Boba.
Boba.
What was Boba Fett? Your cousin Jabba is dead. His cowardly major domo usurped his territory, and then I killed him. All that is his belongs to me now. Your sister is right. If you want it, you'll have to kill me for it.
Did you memorize that or are you reading that off of something?
I read that.
was-
I can't lie to you.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie.
I was like, how
Did
did you
y'all-
learn that already?
I would have just followed with the illusion of it, Thomas. Nodding
No,
my
no,
head.
no.
Amazed.
No. Voice actor gotta be real. I just learned how to pull up the script real fast.
That was
did
very
you
fast.
really quick because thank you. I was typing it in while you were talking. Did you realize that they actually introduced into canon 2 characters that were cut from the 1977 Star Wars film
No.
in yesterday's episode?
No.
Really?
When they go to this just became a quick book of Boba Fett recap from last night's yesterday. The biker
Spoiler
gang.
warning.
Spoiler alert! Big time spoilers because I don't know if everybody knows this. The biker gang is full of Niktos, right? And where they are at, that Boba Fett comes and beats their ass,
Mhm.
is Tashi Station.
Did they pick up some power converters?
They did not pick up power converters, but you know who is there at Tashi Station? It's friends of Luke Skywalker, Cammy
Ah.
and Fixer. It's the girl and the guy getting picked on. by
Okay,
them
I've seen
in
that
there.
scene, the cut scene. It's on
The cut
Disney
scene.
Plus.
The cutscenes on the Disney Plus?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
If
That
they have
makes
all the
sense now.
cut scenes and stuff in the bonuses or the extras section.
okay.
I've seen it somewhere, and if it wasn't
That's
there,
so
it was
cool.
the China DVDs I own. So I don't think. It
Listen,
was there.
I am so jealous that you got China. Can you burn those for me and send me the?
Probably.
Let's go.
I
I
don't
just
have a
want.
disk drive on this computer, but I'll figure it out.
That's what
I
you
just-
that's what you get, George Lucas, making us go to piracy.
I'm gonna be buying the next like 4K version of them all one day. I know it because I need it. I need the physical media for when the internet goes out. I'm prepared.
I'm
always
screwed.
prepared. I'm always prepared to watch Star Wars. Let's maybe get back. Let's go ahead and take complaints now of the Force Awakens here. What are some complaints? I got a few, and it's really just the plot, and it's
The
so
copycat plot.
the copycat plot, and it sets up things so well, and the fact that it doesn't get paid off well enough is like a big bomb bad bummer, if I'm being real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Me so sad. But what about y'all? What are y'all's complaints? Where do we fall in line with the hate in our heart?
Springing off of that, Leia has a line that he has too much Vader in him, which was a perfect setup for him having Anakin in him and flipping Anakin's arc. But no, we got what we got. It was it's such a good line, and she delivers it so well, and it set up a potential, and we never saw the payoff.
I mean, didn't we?
We did, but not to the degree that we should have.
We'll
In
come
my
back
opinion.
to that
Yes.
in Rise of Skywalker, because
Yes.
I would argue he got a better redemption. I mean, he never went. I don't know if he killed younglings. He probably did at some point, but he cried about it
definitely did.
after. I don't think Anakin cried anymore. I think he just hated himself more and more and more and more and more until the self-loathing got so bad his son came in and said, "Oh my God, love." That's my summary of the Luke and Anakin father-son relationship right there.
It was,
Bethanne, what about
was a
you?
great setup, though.
It was a very good setup, and the line itself, you could argue, is also about Luke. Like, I think that falls in line more with
true.
Luke than with Ben. That he's got too much Vader in him. I think that's really more on Luke than it is Ben. Ben has more Anakin in him than Vader, I would say.
Luke
I
do
think
be
that
emotional, though.
Luke to be emotional. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's the Vader. He's the Vader side, but he can control it where Vader can control it, whereas Ben cannot control it as Anakin couldn't control it. And it's more of their focus and determination and where they land emotionally. How did we get down? How did we get here comparing 3 different trilogies of the same family?
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
F&A Cotton.
I had to pull out that line.
Comes in threes.
Comes in it comes in threes, and that's why we're doing a trilogy of trilogies. Bethanne, what about you? What complaints you got?
I think, I understand the complaint for the plot and it being very similar to A New Hope. And I think that is a fair and valid complaint. I will say on the flip side of that, though, I think part of the reason this movie was so fun is because a lot of how the actors delivered their lines was very nostalgic to A New Hope. And those first, movie experiences, like the first scene that comes to mind is when they're in Han Solo's new ship. And he's talking to Tanja Club, Han Solo is, and then all of a sudden Rey looks at the camera, goes, "Uh-oh," and it's the way they pan it. She's like, "Wrong fusers." It was so nostalgic, and I felt those moments throughout it, and I think that's what made me enjoy the movies so much, is because I felt like as if I was going. I mean, like Leah was talking, we couldn't believe in 2015 we were getting a new Star Wars movie. Like, it just really blew everyone's minds. And I was really glad that they had those nostalgic moments, because it made me feel like, wow, is this what they felt like in 1977 when they went to go see it? And I mean that in a compliment. As far as for complaints outside of that, I mean, it's kind of hard because I think of this movie, like we've been discussing, we see this movie based off of what actually happens past it. So it's hard to critique this movie on itself, because I look at certain things I thought were cool, and then it got fucked up in Rise of Skywalker, So, I mean, individually speaking, I think I definitely agree with The New Hope. It's not the most original script. It's not the most original characters in a way, but they had a lot of good opportunities to build great dialogue, great situations, really fun. adventure moments. But yeah, I think from a script, is it simple? Yeah. Is some of the character development kind of simple? Yeah. But when I first saw it, it was such a great, I saw the potential of where it was going and it got me excited.
That reminds me of one more complaint. They cut a great line from the trailer because I was obsessed with the trailer. There was that line that said it's true, all of it. The dark side, the Jedi, they're real. And
That's
it hit
true.
so hard in the trailer, and then it was never in the movie, and I was like, thanks for nothing,
Good point.
Lucasfilm.
Yeah, he just says it's true.
Yeah, and I was
All
like,
of it.
oh, that's all we get.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks,
That's-
Han Solo.
That
Thanks, Harrison
was
Ford.
all of it. Yeah. What is it? Is it on him? Is it on him?
No, it's definitely on JJ, but we know
It's definitely
that Harrison Ford did not care.
No. I mean, doesn't
No,
care
but-
about anything.
He does
But
not.
the way that he looks at the Falcon when he gets in there, when he's
He
like,
cared.
he comes in and he goes, Chewie, we're home. But then he walks into the cockpit, the cockpit, and he puts his arm on and he's like, oh, baby, we're home for real now. It's like, yeah, man, you see that glimmer. And, he's a curmudgeon to say the least, but you could tell he was very excited to be back there because he was getting paid what he was told he would be getting paid, which I believe was 30 million. I think all the OG actors got paid 30 mil for these.
Jeez.
There was
Insane.
a rumor going around about that. So he's getting paid and he's getting his wish. So like, yeah, why wouldn't he be there having fun? Like he's like, finally kill me. I don't ever want to come back.
Surprise.
Skywalker.
He was thrilled. He's like, kill me now.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We want you back for one more scene.
For one more scene so you can kill your son.
He was like,
Next.
I don't care.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't care. That's not a good Harrison Ford. I'm so
That was
sorry,
not.
Harrison Ford. That was bad. That was so bad. Bad Thomas.
yeah, they
We've
cut that
missed so
line,
much from this movie.
And it made me angry.
It made you so angry. Did the anger
did.
lead to hate and
Anger leads to
suffering?
In your
hate.
heart?
Hate leads to
Suffering. I don't know why I did that as the Joker, but it is what it is. We didn't
It
talk
fits.
about Takodana and Maz Kanata and her empire, if you will. That whole, have we been back there in anything?
No, and we need like a series or a short film or something that's just like stories from Maz's castle because that would be
You need a
fascinating.
TV show.
Sure.
Did
a
we
book.
go there in
Or a
Solo?
comic series. I've seen Solo once. Don't ask me.
We
I
might
can't
have.
remember if we did or not.
We might have. But the Maz Kanata, I think I remember seeing her in episode 8, Last Jedi, and
Mhm.
it's a phone call and she's having a labor dispute, #shootouts. Love Star Wars.
You see her
It's
like
amazing.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's about
And
all
then
you
it's
see.
like, trade negotiations went sideways. Why is there shooting? Trade negotiations went sideways. So
That's it.
that's it. Boom. Bada bing. We get some flashbacks of the rise of Kylo Ren a little bit. And then Leia, pushes Han into going to chase down and change Ben Solo's heart, which is a lot of pressure, Mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you want a guy who lies through his teeth all the time and everyone knows he's lying to go and try and like sway the heart of a son because you pushed him away to go. It's very confusing. And I feel like she looks like a bad mom.
But then Harrison
not-
Ford couldn't
okay.
get written out. Sacrifices had to be made during negotiations, okay? Scripts got rewritten. What can I say?
What happened to Han Solo? Trade negotiations went sideways. Leah, do you think Leia was written as a bad mom so far?
Let
based
me
on
read
just this
Bloodline
movie
and then I'll
alone?
tell you. But on the
No,
movie
just this movie alone. Movie alone.
yes.
I didn't think that until this rewatch, and I go, why is she pushing him so hard? Shouldn't she be the one to do it? And then when we get to the Rise of Skywalker, shouldn't she literally be the one going to talk to him? Like, oh, my life has to end for his life to get better.
Yeah,
Cool.
she should have been on the one on the bridge because I think he might have listened to her or at least not killed her.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been able to kill his mom.
Because, which again, we find out like right after when we attack in Last Jedi opening sequence, which really, it's another sequence that people have complaints with, but I think is amazing.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. I'm trying so hard not to jump back to Last Jedi because that is clearly what I want to talk about. The Force Awakens came out in 2015. It has been out for almost 7 years. We're all old as dick now. God dang it.
Dumb. Absolutely.
So dumb. One piece of info that I really wanted to touch on is their time on the Star Killer base of Ilum. So in the trailers, we see Finn with the lightsaber and he's going to fight and we're all getting hype. And then what we don't see is that Rey ends up with the lightsaber. Everyone had issues with Rey getting the lightsaber and besting Kylo. I think the dyad and the explanation of it all has helped. So that I didn't have qualms with that. I was like, okay. Because I think they mentioned like light has to rise to meet the darkness. And I think they mentioned that in Force Awakens, right? So they mentioned that. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. Because is it Last Jedi that they mentioned?
I think it's Last Jedi. It's when she's on the rock touching and she's giving that little monologue.
No. Because it's a Snoke line.
I'm thinking
as
of
your power in the
line.
darkness rises,
so will
light shall always meet. I think that's in this one, but that's a great way to just write it off. But I think the Rise of Skywalker and the dyad, like it being solidified, really does add depth to that. But it comes down to me and Finn. When you watch Finn with that lightsaber and some of the things he does throughout this movie, you can really tell he's Force sensitive.
Yeah.
And they didn't explore it.
They didn't even have him say it.
They didn't explore it.
He was willing to die for something he hated instead of living for the ones he loves. Last Jedi is so fucking good, dude. It's a good thing David's not here. He'd be crying. He'd be like, why? Because he's not a Last Jedi. He's not up there. He's not with us.
Well, he's outnumbered, so
he's outnumbered for sure. He's outnumbered on Reckless Rebellion too. Actually, I think it's 3 versus 1 on that too. He's like, he just has qualms with it. He still likes it. He likes all Star Wars, but we love The Last Jedi. I don't know what else we can talk about in this movie. How
about at the time? What did you think was going to happen next?
Ooh, I like that.
That's a great question.
Because I remember there was that joke going around where they were all like, well, what if Rey handed him the lightsaber and he just yeeted it off a cliff? And that was exactly what happened.
Yes.
Cracking up, but you were right.
Do you remember the comic strip of that happening?
Yes.
I remember seeing it, and then it came to light.
But everyone had these crazy theories. So what did you think was going to happen at the time? Because I was not team throw the lightsaber off the cliff.
No, I wasn't either.
I thought that they were gonna jump right in to Force training. They were gonna go right into it. So everything that I saw on Octo and Last Jedi, I'm content with. I like it. I didn't anticipate Luke Skywalker to shut himself off from the Force, but it makes complete sense because he would have shown up to help Han.
Yeah.
He would have shown up once he realized that Han and Leia were meeting and reconverging and everything starting to build towards a precipice point in the Force. So that the explanation that Rian Johnson gave for all that, I think is great. I thought he was gonna say, "All right, let me teach you the way, so you can be the last Jedi," and then Kylo was gonna go, and I was really hopeful that he was gonna go kill Snoke. I didn't think it was gonna happen because I was like, "Oh, I want to see what would happen if he was like the guy," because he clearly wants to be the guy. He wants to be the Supreme Leader is dead. Long live the Supreme Leader. That was good. I sounded like I was choking. I kind of was. There was a fan theory that I very hard subscribed to that Kylo and Rey were going to be dyads in the Force, and they were going to rise together and seek balance in the Force to bring down Snoke.
Yeah.
And I thought that was what was going to happen because
kind of happened.
It lined up so well, which is why what happens in Rise of Skywalker, it's not those two characters. I love everything that happens with those two characters through all three films. I love what happens and the character building that happens for Poe, learning what true leadership is about and not being a hothead. Something we never saw Han do. He just all of a sudden was a leader. And then with Finn, he was doing whatever he had to do. He was still on his main mission. I'll do whatever I got to do to survive and save my friend. Excuse me. My friend, I was about to cry, apparently. And then at the end of that movie, he's like, I'm willing to die for this. And it's no, be willing to live for them. And it's like, oh, okay. And then we come to Rise of Skywalker. And it just doesn't feel like it lines up. What did you guys think was going to happen?
I was expecting a training montage like Dagobah, just with Luke and Daisy or Rey, especially after that Luke, Mark, and Daisy photo that came out of her like piggybacking on a backlot with him. I was like, we're getting it. We're getting the backpack scene. We did not get the backpack scene.
That was it.
That was all we got was a photo behind the scenes, but it was good. It was a good photo. But I didn't really know what to expect because I was like, they're not going to repeat the exact same plot line of the original trilogy because they can only do that for one movie, right? They won't do all three. And I honestly had no idea. Every theory, I was like, that could happen. That one could happen. But also that one could happen. So I didn't know what to expect.
Bethanne.
I thought Luke was going to take her aside, make a blue milk tea, and then sit her down by a fire and say, I am your father. None of that happened. No, I think I definitely saw like, a training montage of some sort. I totally, even though we saw the, lightsaber over the cliff, did I think that was going to happen? No. Did it happen? Yes. But I thought it was going to follow, and we were kind of talking about this, Thomas, in the Spider-Man, the typical story arc, if you will, that has been set up in movies. So she arrives, there's going to be a Rocky Yoda-esque training montage, and she's going to go take down Kylo Ren. That's kind of what I was expecting. Am I glad I didn't get that? Absolutely. But once again, that's a topic for The Last Jedi. So I have 1,002 thoughts on that. But yeah, I mean, I guess I fall into the camp of, training, saving the galaxy, typical story arc.
What did you think was going to be, what did you think, Snoke, what was your Snoke theories? Because that's where I put all my eggs in the basket.
I never had any great Snoke theories because from what we got in this movie, Snoke didn't seem like a threatening villain to me. He's not a Vader. Like the very first time you meet Vader, he's choking someone. Snoke's just sitting there in his little holo projector room yelling at people. So like he didn't ever seem like the actual threat.
Looking back in hindsight, I don't even know if Snoke was needed. I think they could have wrote Kylo Ren as the leader, as in control of everything. I know they wanted to do a Palpatine and Vader type-esque feel, but I feel like Snoke, both in Force Awakens as a movie and his whole story arc, besides the actual fight scene where he kind of serves a means to end, which I actually enjoy. Besides that, I don't even really think Snoke really serves that big of a purpose to the story. I think he's the weakest point in the sequels.
He could have if they had gone a different direction
Correct.
with Rise of Skywalker, but no.
Correct. And I kind of assumed when I saw Force Awakens, they're bringing in Andy Serkis, you know, CGI king. Obviously, he's going to be some badass role in Last Jedi. And, you know, he definitely, I didn't see him getting killed that quickly in the cards. But, you know, I always just, I kind of assumed in Force Awakens, oh, they're going to do something with him later on. He's just a foreshadowing, but he really wasn't.
Terry McIver brings up a good point that, you know, in regards to Snoke, the Emperor did absolutely nothing until the end of Return of the Jedi. Before that, he was just some old guy in a hologram.
This is
Right.
very true.
Very good
Which
point.
is a great tie, because I 100% thought Snoke was a disfigured Plagueis.
Yeah, there were a lot of people with that theory. I actually read the Plagueis book because of that theory. It was wrong.
Plagueis book is still on my list to do, just because, you know, will we ever see the Plagueis? Yes, in the Acolyte. Hot take.
I think so, yeah.
You know, when we find out he's in charge of the Nihil. Yeah, I'm still there. I still think I'm 100%.
He's the big boss.
He's the big. Also, really fast, I'm listening to the Thrawn Ascendancy set in the Chiss Empire during the Clone War era.
Yes.
And there's this character named Jixtus. And there's a lot of Force sensitives out there in the chaos. All
the little baby navigators are all Force sensitive.
All the navigators, but I'm finding all these other, not just the baby navigators, the other navigators.
Yeah.
Also, you know, touch the beyond, if you will. Yeah, I'm making my way through the second book of the new trilogy.
I need to reread them and then read the new one.
I gotta listen to the audiobook you sent me, Thomas. That's still on my list.
Which one?
I forget which one was sent to me.
Send?
I can't remember. I looked at it and I was like, oh, really cool. And then like everything got busy, so I haven't had a chance. But it is on my list. I promise you that. I will listen to one Star Wars book this year and make that commitment
a good
on this
resolution.
podcast. On this podcast.
It's only January 6th. You got plenty of time. I think that's going to wrap up. Before we go there, plot holes you found. Because I have it written in the notes and I like it. Any plot hole you found. Just in any plot hole. You find them?
The only one, and I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but it kind of always did bother me how, and there's probably a reason you guys can explain to me. It always did kind of bother me that Rey could all of a sudden do Jedi things without explanation. I mean, as someone who, like I said, is in fandoms, but loves to look at things from a movie perspective, right? That is something that always kind of irked me throughout. And it also bothered me. This is not a plot hole. This is just maybe my complaint that I didn't air. The trailers looking back made it look like Finn was going to be the main character.
Yeah.
But it was Rey. And then once I watched the film, there was really no reason to hide Rey. Like, I thought that was always a strange choice.
Piss off the men.
No, we don't want to piss off the men, but we'll piss off the entire African American community.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was basically the logic. That's seriously the logic.
Hashtag Disney. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. You know, love you guys, but, you know, you can do better. Hashtag trust in Favreau and Filoni. Last
Team
little
Favreau.
thing. Team Favroni. Terry McIver says, who's to say Snoke isn't a clone of Plagueis? Palpatine may have harvested him for parts. Easily. Well, to be fair, that's not wrong. I mean, moons have 4 hearts, so they could have taken one of those 4 hearts, but I think he stabbed him in all 4 hearts.
I don't know.
I don't remember. You read the book, so you tell me.
This was back in 2016, pre Last Jedi. It's not in my brain anymore.
a long time ago in a galaxy.
It's also
far,
not
far
canon
away.
anymore, so
It wasn't even canon then.
this is
technically.
true. Nothing was canon back then. They just let 800 people write some fan fiction and published. You think we're kidding? We're not
Disney
kidding.
stepped in and said, "Stop it."
There's some crazy shit in these like 80s books.
Oh, I
80s,
know.
90s books.
Yeah, Lucas said, "Do whatever you want." Like he
Yep.
just didn't care. He's like, "Make sure, I'll take the licensing fee. Yeah, of course, right? Whatever you want.
Yeah.
You want Boba Fett to be alive? I think that's pretty cool. You know,
Give me my
I never
money.
really said he died, and so like that's
The-
cool. You're gonna make a show. That's pretty.
He was
awesome."
getting like what? He made a deal on New Hope where he couldn't pay himself, so he just said, "I'll write him 5% for all Star Wars." Turned out to be like the best deal of all time. So of course he's gonna let him write it. He's gonna make 5%.
Oh yeah,
He's still
something
making
like
5% because they're still republishing those Legends novels for
Yeah,
that.
he's
like,
set.
this year.
He's
That's
very
the
set.
best deal.
Oh, he's very set.
Mhm.
He's very set. He's so set that he gets bored and donates a couple million every like couple months. Like, oh, children need cancer research. Here's $1 billion.
This is my
welcome.
interest for this year. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're dying of cancer? That's not cool, man. May the force be with you. Here's $1 billion. So wipe your tears, please. Thank you. I'm George Lucas. I like Star Wars. I made it. It could have been better, but you know, CGI.
He had a budget of $5.
I had a
So
budget of $5. It was really important to me to make it in $7. And they cut me down to 5, so I had to make it in $4.75. It was a tough time. Anyways, enough George Lucas impressions. That was kind of the Force Awakens.
we'll do
Sorry,
better next
fans.
week.
That
We'll do
was part 1 of understanding the trilogies. That was trilogy 101.
You know, the Force Awakens, it's so damn good, and it just doesn't get that. Like, it gets better, but then it just never gets paid off. So you're just kind of sitting there with dangling threads. Like, I feel the same way, actually, that I felt between like after Revenge of the Sith. I still had a hole in my heart because I was like, well, I want to know about the Clone Wars, right?
Mhm.
Well, in this, I just wish they did it better. But if they filled in, say, that year time, that'd be something worth going on. If we expanded in the future and have Rey and Finn training a bunch of Jedi with yellow lightsabers, I'd be all in for that. Will we get that? I don't know.
And
Hopefully.
they did try with Resistance, but no one watches Resistance, so it didn't really work.
They're
Have
gonna
you watched
answer it.
No, I haven't. It's the one show I haven't watched. The animation style kind of weirds me out, not gonna lie. It's very little kid, like very little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Disney will answer it, I guarantee you, in a later series, and it's just going to be a random highlight that you wouldn't catch until you watch it a second time. I guarantee you that's how they're going to answer your questions. Because Disney likes to do that sometimes. When their writers get into holes, they just put random. That's my critique of Disney and their franchises. They just put it somewhere in there. It's there.
Like Marvel, how they just keep going and filling in this, like, oh, remember this era? Yeah, here's like 3 stories that happened in this era, and now you love Yelena Belova.
Yes.
Yelena Belova. Now that the puns are done, in closing, ladies and gentlemen, we've again kind of talked to The Force Awakens. It has been a really long day for me. So next week, when we're in Last Jedi, I will come and I will tie in plot threads from Force Awakens.
Can't wait.
That I did not type out. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But with that being said, Leah, Bethanne, thank you for joining me. I think there's a lot more to run through here in just a moment. But where can everyone find you individually and She Will Rock You on on social media? Excuse me.
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at She Will Rock You Podcast. If you need like specific links, go to our website, shewillrockyou.com, and it's all linked nicely in the footer. You can find me on Instagram at leahelizabeth.j or on Twitter, also Leah Elizabeth J. I'm real creative over here.
You can find me also as just as creative as Leah, Bethanne Tarpley. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Bethanne Tarpley in the world because I took a Facebook quiz once, but it was one of my last name was Chacho, so I was the only one in the world. Anyway, I'm sure it stands with Tarpley. Yeah, find me on Twitter, connect with me there, connect with me on Instagram. Those are the two places I am the most active, and I'm happy to chat and hear how I am wrong about all my Star Wars theories. I'm open to the criticism.
And you can find all of my links at linktree.com/TCRochesterACT. That is TCRochesterACT. And of course, you can find all the links for Lights Thunder Action at linktree.com/LightsThunderAction. All one word, no hyphens, no spaces. If you enjoy Star Wars talk, then Reckless Rebellion has your Book of Boba Fett needs and breakdowns. The new episode will be out tomorrow. I'm going to hop off this live and go right back into the editing bay to get it out. I just saw, by the way, Leah, I just zoomed over to Twitter. Return of the Pod just dropped their new episode. So I'm going to go listen to that tomorrow after I've got my episode out.
Although it's usually my Saturday morning, like I get coffee, I get groceries, I listen to Return of the Pod.
That's a good start to the day.
Yeah.
Damn, that's nice. Do you have any recommendations for the audience? Anything you've been watching?
I've been reading Dave Grohl's book, The Storyteller. That relates more to our pod than your pod, but it is really good. Dave Grohl is an excellent writer. It's like a collection of, I don't want to call them essays, but like short stories throughout his career. I haven't even gotten to him joining Nirvana yet, and I'm obsessed with this book. He's such a good writer. So, The Storyteller by Dave Grohl.
I'm also going to throw a book recommendation out there. I'm reading a book called The Lost Apothecary. It is a fiction book. It takes place partly, it's dual time. So you have a present day timeline and a timeline of the late 1700s. And 1700s takes place in an apothecary with a woman who sells potions to women so they can kill their husbands because they're pieces of shit. And then it follows a present day where a woman gets cheated on by her husband. So riveting stuff. It takes place in England. Has some fun history moments. I'm a big history nerd. Definitely worth reading.
I also am reading books. I'm not. I'm listening to a Star Wars book, ladies and gentlemen. You already know. But we have reached the end of the show. It's poetry. As always, there could be no show without you, the fans. Thank you so much for joining us here live. We're back live next week. Leah and Bethanne will join me as we dive into Last Jedi, and then we will dive into Rise of Skywalker the week following. Really quick, I forgot to put this out here. Out of 10, what do you rank The Force Awakens?
6.
I'm going to say 7.
Wow, it's somehow higher. I was going to say 7.5. Wow.
I was thinking 7.5, but I think I'll go 7.
There's at least 3 others I'd rank higher, so.
Yeah, I think I've got 5 higher than Force Awakens. So 7.5 is not that high. That's what I'm saying. It's a C average, right? It's a C average. That's how I look at it. Anything below a 5 is just failure. That's so harsh. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us, whether you are watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or listening via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or Spreaker. We appreciate you spending your time with us. Like, follow, subscribe, drop us a comment, leave a review, and give us 5 stars if you're feeling generous. As always, I am Thomas Carter Rochester, and with me has been Leah and Bethanne of She Will Rock You Pod. And I had a cough coming. Thank you for joining episode 74 of Lights Thunder Action. We will see you next time. And remember, the Force will be with you always. except in Rise of Skywalker.
Mhm.